Welcome to How to Get What You Want. This podcast is for driven women ready to claim their goals and navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Join me as we explore real stories, tools, and strategies to help you steer your career exactly where you want to go. Let's get started on helping you get what you want. Hey, welcome. I'm so glad that you made the choice to be here because I have a great friend with me today. Dana and I have met through just channels that people that we know, and I'm so excited to have her here because her expertise is really going to glean some really great context for you to consider today. So welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's so fun to get to know you better and to just share kind of what's on our heart
Yeah.
today.
Well, tell us a little bit, give us some basis for kind of your background and where you come through the world to meet us today.
I am been an airline geek for probably 25 years with Southwest Airlines. So I started in the early days and got to help build the culture. Worked in HR, worked in operations, and then found my niche in marketing and was there for most of the time in marketing. And it was there that I really I felt like we got to be entrepreneurs within a big
Yeah.
company, which was a culture we created. And so I also, while I was there as a leader, realized that we needed a tool to help us as we were merging or acquiring AirTran, which is an airline that was based in Atlanta. We came across the Strengths Finder tool in 2012 and started using it and became a coach while I was in my marketing role. So was a leader coach, and then actually worked with Gallup to help develop a strategic plan for Southwest to be strengths based. And it was pretty fun to do that and to build with my background in all three areas of marketing and then also with operations and with HR. And what I found from that is I really wanted to start my own business and start consulting because I would get calls from leaders at the company when they had left and gone to other companies and said, "Would you come work with us?" And I thought, "Oh, there's something here." And that was in 2018 to 2020. And then I started my business in 2020. So now I serve leaders in the workplace. I've created the Strengths Journal, which is it's the only daily companion guide to Clifton Strengths, which is a daily
Nice.
planner. And you can really kind of, manage your well-being each week. You can manage your intention each day. And I just found that it's just really a daily work. And it's not like we learn something and then we're done. It's just going work. So that's the work I'm about right now. And I like to talk about the intersection of your uniqueness and how you show up in the world and how you're showing up as your authentic self.
How do I understand that if I'm listening today of what does that intersection mean to me?
This was a journey I was on. I was always that leader that worked hard, had a community, had great people off at work and not at work. But it was one of those things where I thought one day, well, how am I really showing up? And what is my personal leadership brand? And have I really thought
Yeah.
about this? And once I learned my unique talents and then started using some other tools, I realized I was living what I thought was somebody else's life. But once I really started living authentically in my brand, then everything was easier and there was more freedom. And it was a lot of work I had done through some therapy when I was going through some marriage crisis that we got out of and we're fine now. But it was learning what role I had in that and how am I showing up? And when I really dug into it, you ask most people, it's probably things that happened before 7. And it wasn't like I had some earth-shattering event happen before 7, except I was a latchkey kid. And my mother was never around because she was working all the time. My dad was always gone. So I was trying to always just control everything and make sure everything was good around the house. And then as I got ready to work, I took that brand with me of, oh, I've got to take care of everything. And I really never unlocked that uniqueness until later on in life. And that's what I'm doing right now with a book called Internal Revolution, which is helping people find that unique self and live it every day.
Oh, there's so much here. I mean, I could go back to when I was 7 and the things that I'm dealing with. I've had that same kind of aha around all of those things that impact how you see through your eyes. When I think about brand and leadership, I think about observing how people interact with me and what questions they ask me and if they trust me. Really, the influence that I have within an organization. Is that how you are looking at brand, or help me understand your turn on it?
Well, yeah, so when I look at brand, I'm not thinking, "Oh, she's trying to sell me something," right? Because that doesn't feel good. And as a marketer, I really always was coming from a place when we were looking at messaging or coming up with a campaign is, how do we be our unique self in this brand? One time we were doing Bags Fly Free ad, and all the ramp guys had their shirts on, and one of them put, Bags Fly Free on his chest, and that became a unique moment, an authentic moment that wasn't even
Wow.
planned. But because of that authentic moment, it really showed our brand and showed who we were in such a way that became such a popular thing at the
Yeah.
time. And that's what it's having those moments to be uniquely you, not but also to be decide intentionally who you wanna be. Do you wanna be that person that's always late? Do you wanna be that person that's always on your phone and not paying attention? Do you wanna be that leader that a lot of leaders don't realize what their personal brand is? So, it's really not only understanding your unique strengths, but what are your core values? How do you show up? What's important to you? For a marketing brand, it was important that we connected with
Mhm.
people in a unique way and had fun. For each of us have uniqueness, but some of us haven't brought it out yet. And that's this movement I'm about. It's like, how do we find that and bring it out and help take people from confused to clear about what their uniqueness is? And then how do they use that at work as a leader? How do they use that uniqueness as a speaker or as an author, or as a mom or a dad or a community leader? And so many times we're living somebody else's life. We're not living what we were created to do.
Bags fly free. And we can all
Oh,
understand that because we all experience such a different experience with Southwest than any other airline around that. And I would say, on behalf of a lot of people, I wish bags would still continue to fly free.
I know. So sad.
Yeah.
So sad. You're just like, when you work on something on a brand like that for
Yeah.
so long and you just get gonna go, "Boop." But this is the message is that if you don't know your core
Yeah.
values and you don't know what you're made of, and you just show up and you are the sum of the people you hang around with. So who are you hanging around with? How are you communicating to others? Are you listening more than you're speaking? Is that important to you? And just how you show up and be that person. You know how you feel. I know when I first started my business, I had this coach that I had hired out. It was some kind of mastermind, and she was telling us to do all this stuff, and it just didn't feel right. I was like, "Huh?" And my gut was telling me, "No, this isn't who I am, and I don't wanna be a salesperson. I'm here to help people really birth their
Yeah.
purpose and live in their strengths every day." And so one of the things I really help people do is really get their personal mission statement done. And recently just did this with I do it in corporate all the time with corporate
Yeah.
teams. So I've been recently working with a healthcare company, and the leader really was wanting her leaders and our teams to be more engaged. And one of the things we did after we did strings for a while is we actually each team worked on their brand messaging as a
Yeah.
team. And it was incredible. She said that was her favorite experience was watching them because for the first time, and this is I'm going to relate it to individual as well. It's like that team had an
Yeah.
identity, and people feel more valued when they know what they're doing
Yeah.
counts.
So I feel like it's a cross section between living authentically who you are. I mean, what really lands for me is I often get people come to me, what's the book I need to read to understand how to be a good leader? What resources do I need to do? What courses do I need to take? And it's a journey of collection and finding who you are through the lens of leadership and how do you show up. So it's a little bit of being an observer of how people interact with you. I like what you said around, do you just show up? but are you seen? And how do you want to be seen as a listener, as a contributor, as somebody that is trusted? So those are all things that we can decide ourselves, but also illustrate every day by our engagement and our decisions.
Exactly. And decision making plays a big role in how you show up with your authentic personal brand, right? Because those core values are what you're making your decisions
Yeah.
by. Like, who am I going to be with? Who am I not going to? If I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? All the things that come along with that. For instance, I had a leader recently, and he told me this. He goes, "I'm a people pleaser." I said, "Wow, you already know that about yourself. That's good. You
Yeah.
know that. Now, what are we going to
Yeah.
do about it?" And his executive team was saying, "Yeah, he just it's a hard time when we're not harmonious, and it's hurting his personal
Yeah.
brand." And he's taken too long to make decisions. Well, he's got an amazing he's an amazing guy. He's just holding an old
Yeah.
persona of what he thought he should be as head of this organization. And so it's breaking down those walls and looking at the pivots. I have people draw a line from birth to now, and then we draw a line from now to the future, till their 80th or 90th birthday, and just write down all the things that happen in their life, the good and the bad moments. And you'll start seeing that, oh my gosh, there's a pattern
Wow.
here. And I've been carrying this pattern with me for a long time and I didn't even realize it.
Mm.
But the good news is that then we say, okay, look, now we're here today. What are those patterns you want to keep and move forward? And what are the ones that you're going to release and not use? For him, it's the people pleasing. He didn't need to hold on to
Yeah.
that. But how do we move forward into the future? Because we think about when you're thinking about your personal brand, what is the legacy you want to leave? There's only one you. So I know you've got kids and thinking about what the legacy you want to leave for them. I have a mom who's 86, 89.
Oh,
She got her degree at 86.
wow.
And it's like that was her. She has learners, she has high strengths in learning and being her best, but she has a legacy she's starting to really leave about you never stop
Wow.
learning. So it's with us whether we know it or not when we walk in the room. And we've heard that Jeff Bezos quote, you have a personal brand whether you know it or
Yeah.
not. And I think some people, and I know I was one of those people, I just didn't know what to do to find
Yeah.
her.
Oh,
How do you
how do you find
her?
her? I love that. And it's such important work because that leader, to be able to understand that he shows up that way, allowed him that lens into what he needed to shift. Because I work with a
Yeah.
leader that has that same tendency, but doesn't understand that. And so nobody tells her. Everything is
Mm,
just always unicorns and roses or whatever that saying is, and her impact as a leader is a lot less than she realizes because she doesn't know really what that brand stands for and what it means, so that she has the courage to shift that because people would like to see her differently.
and it's hard because I worked in one of those where everybody was always nice,
Yeah.
right? Oh, we're in this great culture. But then it was like, okay, then it would be the meeting after the
Yes,
meeting,
exactly.
right? And it's like, do you want to be that leader that people are having the meeting after the meeting because you haven't been
Yeah.
clear and you've been confusing and they don't know where to go because they're not or do you want to be that leader that really cares and says, you know what, I think I screwed
Yeah.
up today. I need some help. And I think along with working on finding your authentic imprint and finding your unique self, it's really who's that accountability
Mhm.
partner that you're going to have? What is that group that you're going to put together for yourself? And I like to talk about, your virtual board of directors that you're going to
Love
put
it.
around you. And who are those people? And are they going to call you to be your best? And recently, here I am in 5 years, and a lot of my friends don't work or they're doing different things. And I'm like, I've got to find my other friends that are here that are doing the same thing as me, but
Yeah.
different because I want to, and these are friends that will call me on stuff, that will just say it like it
Yeah.
is. And I think that's always so important when you're thinking about your authentic
Yeah.
self. Who are those people who are going to help me be
Yeah.
that?
I was going to ask you, how do you know you need this? But I realized that we're all changing and growing, and it's a journey. Like you said, having a coach, having an outside counsel is so powerful to help you really shine a light on where you may need some discovery or help you move through that path for you because we're always shifting and growing. And so having that awareness can only lead you to a more I don't want to equate it to a success, but it's satisfaction and confidence and courage. So when you think about somebody listening and how do I get started on that journey? Do you have some real easy steps that people can take to just start to explore that?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just, and you and I both discussed earlier that we love journaling and journaling, but I think starting with that life map and really looking back and doing that deep work. And I recommend doing this either with a counselor or coach, a really good accountability
Mhm,
buddy, and each of you doing it and then saying, what are those patterns I've been carrying?
mhm.
And then where do I want to be? And that's the first step to just really getting clear on what you've got. And that's why I call it the internal revolution, because we're going inside. We're
Yeah,
going to that stuff that we stuffed away a
yeah,
long time ago and we haven't really even thought about because we've just been doing life. And so it's powerful. Then once you've done that and you've kind of seen some patterns, decided what you want, then I would recommend going ahead and trying to unlock your unique talents, whether you use strengths or other tools to know what is it that, how do you process information? What
yeah.
motivates you? You know, what are the things? How do you think about things? How do you get things done? And then once we do that, then I have them really identify their core values. And I just have a list of core values. You can go on Google and just look at core values and
Yeah.
pick the one. I wouldn't pick more than 5. And then once you've done that, I pull that all together with, let's create a personal mission statement for you. And the personal mission statement really talks about what are the things that I do best and what are the in my strengths, what comes out. It might be strengths. Again, you might use something else. And one of the things I've had my clients do is send a note out to close friends, family members, workmates, and say, just send me one word that describes me.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, you'll start hearing back from them and you'll start seeing a pattern. I'm looking for patterns,
Yeah.
right? So we see a pattern. It's like, oh, there's this word that just came up. For me, it was inspirational. My friends, everybody said inspirational. I was like, okay, that's a word I need to use because every content piece I create, everything I do, I want it to be inspirational. And then really thinking about what you are passionate about and how you can use your strengths. And there's simple ways to do that. For me, it's, how people are stuck and they don't know what they stand for. They don't know their uniqueness. Well, what I do is I help them birth their
Hmm.
purpose and live in their strengths every day.
Wow.
And what I added to my personal branding is every day. Because guess what I learned? I can't just do this and say, okay, I did that. I'm done. We're a work in
Yeah.
progress every
Yeah.
day.
So really looking at your past, self-discovery, and making time for that space for that. And I love having a tool that can look at you from the outside, that data around how you get things done, whether it's insights or disc or Clifton strengths. And then
Mm.
keeping yourself accountable. I think one piece of action I would say is even finding that every day, as you said, even finding 5 minutes a day to
Mhm.
carve out for a reflection or even looking back on your day and saying what went well or this is how you get the best of me. That's a great statement to answer. You get the best of
Right.
me when. And so when you start that self-discovery and you do something and even space 5 minutes in a day to focus on you, you will accelerate your development.
And then well-being plays a big piece in
Yeah.
all of this, right? If you're not, I know if I'm looking at my well-being and I haven't, like, I had so many things I wanted to get done this week and I haven't been with my
Yeah.
friends. Well, that's a big piece of social well-being, right? And it's also important that for my relationships that I'm with them. But it's also important that I work out. So I have a workout time with my husband each week. And that's our time together, because the number one thing that we found with couples, why they're separating or not, or getting divorced, because they don't have a daily connection
Mm,
point. So for me, that was, and I needed to work
yeah.
out. I needed a
Yeah.
buddy to work out with. That was that we got that one. So it's just finding those areas, and then it's like you just feel so much better because you've got all this freedom because you're living in your uniqueness instead of what somebody else expects of you. And so that's what I put in the journal. And you can go to strengthsjournal.com and find it's a daily journal, and you literally put down your intention. Today, I want to achieve this. My desired outcome for today is. And then you pick 3 things you want to get done, and you assign one of your unique talents to it. And then you actually, at the end of the day, what you're grateful for. And what's one thing I learned today that now I want to take forward, because sometimes as women, especially if women leaders, we tend to not be as confident for some reason and I did research with female founders 2 years ago, and we found this. The women were on the verge of making 100,000, and the women were on the verge of making 1 million. We're still, and they're feeling the same,
Wow.
lack of confidence.
Oh,
And so it's like, what is that one thing I've been procrastinating about that I'm not going to procrastinate? I'm just going to make it happen
yeah.
today. What is that one thing? And so, like you said, at the end of the day, being able to just kind of start the day strong and end the
Yeah.
day strong.
So much power in that. We'll definitely put the link to grabbing that journal because what a great
Yeah.
way to really have self-discovery, and that's an easy tool to use.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I created it, because I needed it.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I knew that I would fall into my old ways and my old pattern if I didn't. And this is really training your subconscious to have a
Yeah.
habit of really being intentional
Love
every
it
day.
so much. Tell us how, besides going and getting the journal, how can people connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn at Dana Williams Consulting. I'm also on Instagram. And then my website is
Awesome.
danawilliamsco.com. So love to see you there. And just thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me today and letting me share what's on my
I
heart.
love it so much, and it's such a great mission to have for you because you're enlightening so many people that and
Oh,
making an
thank you.
impact on others, so I love that. Thank you for listening to this, and please connect with Dana, see what she's doing, and engage with her on any of those social platforms, and if you know somebody that needs to hear this, feel free to share this episode with them, and always remember that negotiation is more than a skill, it's a mindset. So until next time.